Welcome to tonight's webinar here with Quest Trust Company over creating cash flow during the chaos. I'm actually really excited for tonight's presentations. We actually have 4 different guest speakers here tonight to each present their own case study to you guys. Now, if you've been following this event for the last couple of weeks, you guys probably know that tonight's event was actually supposed to be our big Dallas grand reopening event. Now, obviously, with everything going on here in Texas and in many other parts of the country right now, we did decide to move tonight's presentations online to virtual presentations, but we're still going to try to make tonight's event as interactive as possible for you guys. I know a lot of you guys are joining us from Dallas, but since we did decide to move this event 100% online, I do see that we have a lot of people joining us from outside of the Texas areas as well. So I hope you enjoy tonight's presentations, and I hope you guys are able to learn a little bit something from our guest speakers over the deals that they have been doing over the last year to the last year and a half during the pandemic. Now, tonight's agenda is pretty packed. If you guys want to stay up to date with which speaker is next, and the overall agenda for tonight, take out your phone, take a picture of this. It's the only time I'm going to show this slide here tonight. But tonight's presentations will consist of Nathan Long, the president of Quest Trust Company, Jason Bible, an investor here in Houston, Tom Berry, and wrapping it up, last but not least, is Eddie Speed with NoteSchool from Dallas, Texas. So we should definitely have some great content shared here tonight. And then at the end of all the presentations, in true Quest style, we are going to have some voting, make them kind of battle it out to see who has the best case study from about the last year or so. And so you guys that are watching here at the end of these presentations, I will have a QR code where you can scan it, you can vote for your favorite case study, and we love to see that feedback and kind of make it a little fun and competitive as well for you guys. Now, when we hosted this event in person, we did have several sponsors as well as distinguished sponsors that would have been joining us. So we did want to give them some time here to highlight their services, how they can help you out. I'm sure, as you guys know here in the real estate business, it's all about your connections, the other tools that you have in your tool belt. So we wanted to go ahead and give all of our sponsors that would have been with us here in person tonight a chance to kind of share with you guys what they do and how they can help you out as you're going out there and investing in the world. Now, I understand that with these big grand reopening events, some of the things that we all were most excited about was the networking, right? We were actually able to host this event live in Houston, and we had about half of the crowd networking the entire time, and we had about the other half actually in the room watching all of the case studies. So since tonight's event has been moved online, you guys actually kind of get the best of both worlds. Tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. through Zoom, Quest is hosting a virtual networking happy hour. We actually host this event on the first and third Wednesday of every single month, and it's a great way to network with other investors from all across the country. At these virtual networking happy hours, this event is actually set up as a Zoom meeting instead of a Zoom webinar. So everyone gets a chance to share their cameras, everyone gets a chance to introduce themselves to the group. And then after the introductions, we open it up for conversations at the end. We've been doing this event for a little over 6 months now, and I'll let you guys know it's actually my event that I created. It's really taken off. A lot of people have really enjoyed joining us from month to month and continuing to make those strong connections with other people in the industry. So definitely hope to see you there. I believe I have Manny online with me moderating tonight. He's actually posting some links to these happy hours and events for you guys. So don't wait. Go ahead and get that registration so we can see you for some networking tomorrow night. Also, we do have a promotion going on right now, and I'll let you guys know if you hang around till the end of this webinar, we are actually going to make this promotion just a little bit better for you. But we are giving away up to $500 in account credits all quarter long for either new clients or existing clients that are looking to move their funds into Quest. So reach out to one of our IRA specialists, Manny, who's online with us tonight. He's actually based out of our Dallas office. And Manny specializes in helping our new clients get started at Quest. answering all of your questions you might have about self-directed IRAs, how it pertains to your individual situation, and all the way to actually getting started, the paperwork, getting that account funded, and getting you ready to invest your IRA so you can make that money grow and actually have control over where those funds are invested. So all quarter long, we're giving away free account credits, potentially up to $500. And reach out to us. Manny, put your email in the chat so they can reach out to you and we'll help you guys get started. Also, I think this is probably one of my last slides for the announcements tonight, but we do have a referral program. I know a lot of you guys that watch our events, that regularly attend all of these big webinars that we host. Y'all are already Quest clients. So do us a favor. Go out there, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues about all of these options that you're choosing to invest in with your self-directed IRA. And if you know someone who could benefit from having an account at Quest, we will give you each a $25 credit when you refer them and they open an IRA with Quest. And help us out, spread the word, come to the events, come network. We want to be a good resource to you guys as we're hosting these events, as we're providing this education. And personally, my goal is to have as many people be educated about self-directed IRAs as possible, because you never know who might have an IRA out there that is just sitting, not doing much, and they could really benefit from investing into these different options that they just don't really know that they have just yet. So that's about the end of my announcements here, but I did just want to give you guys a quick commercial about us, who we are at Quest. At the core of our business, we are a self-directed IRA custodian. We administrate IRA accounts that our clients self-direct into non-traditional assets, such as real estate, notes, private placements. You really have a lot of different options. And we've been administrating these accounts and providing this type of education for almost 20 years now. Quest has been around since 2003. Education and hosting all of these webinars and events has really been a big part of our business and a big part of my job here in our marketing department. So I hope that you guys are enjoying the education that we put on, but please be aware that at Quest, we cannot give tax, legal, or investment advice. Consult your attorney, consult the proper professionals that you need to before you enter into investments. And it wouldn't be a Quest webinar if we didn't start it off somewhat with that disclaimer there. So reach out to us. We love to help you guys. And without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and pass it off to Nathan. Nathan, I know you are already planning on going a bit over your 10 minutes, so I got you even a few extra.
I wasn't planning, I just know I will. I'm going to get all sappy here. I can't help it. You did a really good job with the announcements and everything. And
thank you.
The virtual happy hours have been really cool. They've helped me a lot too. I'm going to start my timer just so I know. Thank you, Haley.
Awesome.
So I got to tell you, this is going to be the most embarrassing case study I've ever done in my life. I'm going to throw in my hat and all vote for somebody else. Don't vote for me, because everybody else did a lot better than me during COVID. So when I was asked to do this, I almost went into a panic, because it was like I had a horrible time during COVID. During the last year with my own personal investments. I was absolutely the worst of the worst. But I learned a lot, and I wanted to share what I learned with you. Okay. First of all, it was tremendously hard time personally in my own personal life. And what basically happened with most of my investments is a lot of them paid off. I just got cash, payoff after payoff after payoff. Thanks, Tom. One of our next speakers was one of the people who paid off a bunch of loans with me. I did do some investments with Troy, and those have done pretty good. Oil and gas at the right time, but that wasn't very much and not enough to do. So what is it that I have to talk about? Is what I did right before COVID. See, COVID was a really hard time in my personal life and in the life of Quest itself. If I could take you on a little road trip so you could understand, Quest was never really designed by Quincy or myself as being this big money-making machine. We never thought out that we're starting out a trust company. We would have told you were ridiculous. We wanted to find some good investments. And Quincy was a good speaker, and we were self-directing our accounts ourselves. And years ago, they came to Quincy and asked, "Hey, could you open a self-directed IRA? We want to do a franchise." And I think we spent like $5,000 on the franchise, or that he did. He spent that money at the time. I wasn't involved yet. It started to roll, and we started to do some things. Quincy had a title company as a lawyer, and everything went well. And then we became a third-party administrator, and we just kept putting the money back into Quest because we were just enjoying getting things. But pretty soon, Quest started to eat up. It ate up Quincy's law business. It ate up the title company because it was growing and doing things almost systemically. People were excited about getting information about self-directed IRAs. We had third-party administrators. Then we got big, and then we were doing really good. And we started being able to actually pay ourselves a decent salary out of Quest, but we kept putting the money back in, and it was getting all good, And we were being a third-party administrator out of the state of Kansas for almost 17 years. And that worked really well. And then all of a sudden, something happened. The state of Texas came in and said, "Excuse me, son," I'm paraphrasing slightly, "but you guys are in Texas and you're being regulated out of Kansas. And if you want to continue to operate in Texas, you need to be regulated out of Texas." We're like, "Okay, we're good with that. What do we need to do?" "Well, you have to become a full-fledged trust company." "Okay, what do we have to do that?" "Well, real simple. You're doing most of it, but you need to have a big old bucket of money. It's reserve capital. In case anything screws up, we're going to come and take it." I'm like, "Okay, how much do you need?" We're like, "We don't have that. We've saved and put everything back into Quest." Quincy, as wise as he would, knew this day would come. And he's like, we put everything we earned back into Quest. We're like, we had about half of what they needed. They said, "Okay, we'll let you open, but you have 2 years to come up with the rest of it." "Okay, we've got 2 years to earn what we made in 17. Okay, but we'll do it. Thank you for letting us continue to operate. Thank you for letting us continue to be a business." And my staff went to work, man. They went to work like crazy. You see, at Quest, we're an open books company. So all my staff gets to see all the numbers and everything that happens. We share everything. Looks like things changed. Hopefully I'm still on because I just had a flash on my screen. If I am, give me the thumbs up. Yay. I know I got this out of my eyes too. So things changed a little bit at Quest. As we're going and they kicked in, and man, we started putting on events and we started things and we're building our restricted capital and we were all working together. Well, guess what, guys? The end of that time period that they gave us was December 31st, 2020. So the first year we did pretty good. And then COVID hit. Well, COVID directly affected our company in ways that you can't imagine. People were losing their jobs, so they were bleeding money out of retirement accounts. And God bless them, they needed it. It was just coming out. And most of our investors are finding their deals through foreclosure markets and real estate related deals and all that. And all this stuff is freezing up. And how we market ourselves or get ourselves out there is we hold education events and get out there. And no matter what, we still had to come up with all this money. And at the same time, to add insult to injury, my young, very smart, very pretty wife, who's much smarter, much healthier, does yoga every day to me, all of a sudden got ill. Got very ill. And we didn't know what was wrong. And everyone was like, and I couldn't even visit her when she was in the hospital. This was over December of last year. And that was rough. We finally figured it out, and she's getting better. She's so much better now, but it was really hard. And this is what goes back to the valuable lesson that I'm trying to tell you. At some point, I had to turn to my employees and tell them, you need to get there on your own. And so in life, sometimes the decisions that we make are so much more important than we understand, especially some of our business decisions. And my staff was incredible. And the way that Quest responded to the staff was incredible, in my opinion. Let me ask you, what defines a human being? Is it whenever everything's going good and everything's going well and everything's going great? You know, anybody can be cool when they're rich and good looking. Well, the same thing is true of a company. Hey, Jason. The same thing is true of a company. You can define how a company or who a company is by the way they respond when things were tough. This was the toughest time in our life. But Quest and its management, its somewhat young management, realized some things right away. Our employees were suffering right off the bat. We were belted in there. So we took our advanced IT department and we started to develop some systems and immediately put into work from home place. We took all of our technology and things and we bought computers and did things, spent money on computers. We also realized there people were having problems with like their children and other types of stuff. So they put in 5 extra personal days for each employee. They paid for all COVID testing. In the early days, you couldn't get COVID testing for whether it's you or your families, and we separated and we did everything that we could to make all of our employees feel comfortable while our events were being canceled. And even in the height of COVID, we decided to do a stimulus package for all of our employees making less than $100,000 a year. They basically got an extra check just to help with extra expenses. And we continued to do those things. Now, I would challenge you that a lot of companies facing being shut down if they didn't earn enough money wouldn't have spent money on their employees and other things. And I have people go, oh, well, you can get one of those PPM loans. And yeah, we applied for one of those and we got it, but it might as well, we would have been more valuable to have a pile of toilet paper at the time, because we have to run on accrual-based accounting in order to be a trust company. In other words, the negatives and the positives. So that's just a loan. A negative and a positive doesn't mean a thing. It didn't get us to our restricted capital at all. The employees still had to get there. And come December 31st, 2020, we did. We had met our restricted capital. And if someone to this day asked me how we did it, I could honestly say, I don't know. I don't know. They did it together. The marketing team all of a sudden took people from that were traveling and took traveling expenses and started putting on events. We found other things. We found other types of investments. Thank you, Troy Eckard, that's on tonight. You know, we did other things. We appealed to our vendors, the people that are on with me tonight. We appealed to our customers and our clients, and we appealed to our staff. And everyone just kind of came together. And we're still here as a trust company. And I think even if we had failed, we would have failed together. But it reminds me of one of the most important things. And Tom talks about this, and some of the other speakers talk about this tonight as well. It's like, sometimes the people you choose to do business with become to be such a more important decision than you've realized. You got to choose your people to have good moral integrity. You got to take care of them when you can, because you never know when they're going to be taking care of you. And I'm very grateful to my staff and my clients and even the vendors. So thank you. I know it's not a great story. I'm going to lose to the other people out there. I'd ask for one last thing, and this is for Haley and some of the people. They've done a really great job, but they need a few accounts. They've actually have a lot of people moving a lot of money in. Matter of fact, we have more money at Quest than we've seen in a long time, over 400 million in uninvested cash, and people doing deals like crazy all of a sudden again. But we need some actual accounts, and these can be little accounts. So any of you, if you're online tonight and you needed an account for your, an education account or a health savings account or education account for your grandkids, anything like that, please take a minute. I'm sure Haley and Emmanuel will figure out how to make it worth your while. They'll give this stuff away right now because they just need the numbers of accounts in there. So if anyone's been on the edge or been thinking about it, just let us know. We'll make it worth your while and come on and do it. Sorry for getting sappy, but it's been a really hard year, and I can't help but to stand here and be appreciative of everybody, my staff, the other talented people on this call with me. Eddie, we've been around for a long time. And you, most of all, my clients have helped us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. I've heard you tell that story probably several times now, and I really like to hear it from your perspective, because as an employee of Quest, and I've been with Quest for a little over 5 years now, it's a great company to work for. I'm very thankful for everything that you guys have done for us. And it's been cool to work at a growing company and kind of be really bought into these things that we're all really working hard towards. So Nathan, thank you for kicking it off for us here tonight. I definitely think there's a few lessons to be learned in that story, no matter what you might be doing in real estate. But without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and bring on Jason Bible. Jason Bible is an investor here in Houston, Texas. He is also known as Mr. Texas Real Estate. And as you guys will see, he's got a really awesome mid-century modern office that I'm personally very jealous of. But Jason, I saw you sign on here a few minutes ago. If you can go ahead and pop on.
Yeah, I am here. Can you hear me, Haley?
I am. I can't see you, but.
It says I can't. Let's see here.
Give me 1 second. I may need to.
Oh, it says you stopped my video. So I guess you didn't like my office that much.
I just asked you to start your video. There you are.
There we go.
I guess once I stop your video, you can't share it again.
I'd get rid of my face. I hate that picture.
Awesome. But Jason, you've got about 10 minutes. You've actually got about 11 minutes or 1 minute ahead of schedule. So go ahead and take it away and let's hear what case study you brought for us tonight.
Let me see here if, can you give me the reins here to do the screen share?
You should be able to share your screen.
Ah, there it goes. All right.
Perfect.
Here we go, guys. We were one of these wild ones that, give me 1 second here. I'll get the show started. Like that. Oops. All right. We were one of these crazy people that, we saw, it was, if you guys remember the early days of the COVID stuff, it was absolutely insane. Effectively, if you were to really look at the numbers there, by the way, the bottom left-hand corner is called a POPL. It's a QR code. If you guys want any of all of my contact information is on that. So if you want my contact information, just scan that real quick. If you guys go all the way back to when the coronavirus first broke out and then they started shutting down the country, effectively 90% of the country, 90% of GDP in the country was shut down. That has never happened before. So we decided, we took a week or two to watch how things developed, and then as long as Home Depot was open, we were rehabbing properties. And we decided right then to just keep buying real estate. We just weren't going to stop buying real estate. So it was scary. I will tell you this. I run into a lot of investors that tell me, hey, Jason, I'm going to get into the market when the market crashes. And I'm like, well, the market did crash in March and April. How many properties did you buy? And the problem is everyone's scared. Well, Jason, that was in the middle of Corona. I might have lost my job. I don't know how I would have financed it. And I'm like, that's what a real estate crash looks like, guys. Got yourself a good little test there. So I'm just going to share with you what we did over the last year and a half. This is not all the stuff that we did, but we just went right at it. I mean, we're relentless and just didn't stop. I have said this now for almost 3 years, or 4 years now. If you think real estate is expensive now, just wait. Like, this is not going to stop. In fact, the demographics I'm seeing is we may not see a real estate slowdown, not even a crash, but a slowdown till 2028. There's somebody you ought to read. His name is Logan. He's over at Housing Wire. He has probably got the best analysis. Again, Logan at Housing Wire is absolutely amazing. And he goes into why this is very different than 2008. And let me show you what the cost of waiting is. The median home price in October 2017, when I made that prediction, was $226,000. The median home price as of the last report I have, which is June 2021 in Houston, Texas, $315,000. That's $80K in appreciation in less than 4 years, and it's not going to stop. I'm telling you right now, this is just not going to stop. It's absolutely insane. So this is what we did. We started buying beach houses. Why? Because, I don't know, we thought it was a good idea. Well, I'll share why here in a minute. But who wants to buy a beach house? So I went down to this little place called Surfside, Texas. Now, if you don't know where Surfside is on a map, you're forgiven. Even the people here in Houston have no idea where Surfside is. You go right down 288, which is a road that runs due south here in Houston. It's just west of 45. There's a little community called Surfside. You drive all the way down till your tires hit the ocean. That's Surfside, Texas. So I bought 4 little beach houses here for about $350,000 about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And we started renting them at Airbnb, and then Corona hits. And they were like, well, what are we going to do next? And I said, you know what? I bet everybody's freaking out. Nobody's looking to buy a beach house right now. And there's people who want to sell. So as long as the title company is open and Quest is open, so we borrow a lot of money from Quest clients. As long as Quest is open and title companies are open, we're just going to keep closing deals. We just said, this will not last forever. I mean, we had a pretty good idea even early on. This is not going to last forever, but let's just do it. So then we bought one on Fort Velasco. It's actually a 2-unit. We bought another one on Oyster. This is another 2-unit on Texas. I love this one. It's an efficiency on a street called Ocean, and it's about 4 blocks from the beach. We bought this little yellow one. We call it the Canary on Crane. And then this at the time was my favorite one on Ray's Way. This one's 2 blocks from the beach. In fact, if you look in the upper left-hand corner of the house there, right next to the fireplace, you can sit up there and you can actually see the ocean from the beach. Just a really cool little house. So one day I get this text message, this is back in May, and it says, hey Jason, this guy approached me today at Ray's and asked for you by name, says he wants to sell his house across from Ray's and the A-frame on the beach. He wanted to sell me 2 houses, and he knows you love it. They want to sell both to buy bigger. He said, call him tonight or tomorrow. So I said, you know what? We're going to buy it. This is it right here. It's 527 Beachfront Drive, Surfside, Texas. I actually had the house next door under contract last year, and it had some structural issues, and I had it under contract for $240,000. Now, these properties are 2-1s, 650 to about 700 square feet. And my business partner at the time said, you know, you probably shouldn't buy it. You know, we'll see. You know, I don't know. I just go ahead and pass on it. And in the last year, that house, in fact, the house next door, the black one, that A-frame right there, I contracted and closed for $380,000. It is amazing how expensive this stuff is getting. It's actually on the beach. In fact, this is so on the beach. That's the view from the deck. And yes, the water does look like that. That is absolutely Surfside, Texas. It's a little bit cleaner. It's about an hour away from Galveston, so it's a little bit cleaner than Galveston, and it's just a wonderful beach. This is the inside of the property. There's a bedroom. That's the view from the top of the little triangle there. If there's a really violent storm that rolls into town and it's high tide, we will get water underneath the house. That's how much on the beach it is. So here's beachfront by the numbers. Bought it for $380,000. I got about $5,000 into it. ARV is about $436,000. That's $650 a square foot. This is like California prices down here. It's absolutely insane. The net cash flow. Now this is an Airbnb for us. We own, I think, a total of 15 down there, and I own another I don't know, 12 or 13 in Corpus Christi. This rents on a bad day for $350 a night. So it's a very expensive rent, or very expensive place to rent given the size that it is. So $650 a square foot, including debt service, we're going to make about $4,800 a month, or about 106% cash flow. It stays booked constantly. In fact, the biggest challenge for us is getting in and doing maintenance in between the turns. That's what we call it when we get a new guest. When one guest leaves, a new guest comes in. We're actually going to refinance this in 7 months and be able to pull out all of our cash because it's appreciating so much. This is what makes single family real estate so magical. It's really easy to finance and it's appreciating so much you can pull the rest of your cash out. So we're going to pull the rest of our cash out. So we're going to have an infinite rate of return, but the cash flow is going to drop to about $4,300 a month. If I wanted to, that's net cash. It's net in my pocket, $4,300 a month. If I wanted to, I could pay this thing off in 6 years. It's just absolutely insane. Or we could build. Remember, we're at $650 a square foot. It's only 672 square feet. We could lift the property up to the new base flood elevation, which is about 13 feet. And then we can add 1,000 square feet onto the house. And my guess is adding 1,000 square feet is probably going to run $200 a square foot or $200,000. So we'll be at about $580,000. Let's say I got another $20,000 in contingency. So we're at $600,000. The ARV will be nearly 1.1 million. That's at today's valuation of $650 a square foot. It's going to take us a year to finish construction, go through the permitting process and construction and the whole shoot match. So at that time, the net cash flow, including debt service, because it's a bigger place, we'll be able to rent it for more a month, is $9,500. And here's the crazy thing. I'm going to borrow this at 75% minus repairs, right? You guys are familiar with the 75% rule. So I'll be able to take $200,000 of cash out of the deal and make $9,500 a month renting the property. Just a really fantastic little deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to build to the side and towards the back, and it might look something like this. So we're going to extend the A-frame out, and we're going to build this box to the side. And we'll keep the upstairs in the A-frame as well. And have big, beautiful windows on there so you can see the beach. It'll be a lot of fun. But wait, there's more, because there always is, right? What if you had bought 2 beach houses down there? Or you bought 3 or 4? Here's what we really do in our group. We build a portfolio of 10, 15 houses, and then we sell half and pay the other half off. It's a fantastic strategy. So all those houses that I showed you guys, we're starting to sell them. In fact, the only ones I'm going to keep down there is the first 4 units that I bought and this particular house. The rest of them I'm selling. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 100% of the proceeds to pay off the other beach houses. So I'll own them with no debt. So I'll own an A-frame that's 1,600 square feet. Remember, we're going to do the construction on it. That's worth about $1.1 million free and clear. All because we started buying single family beach houses down in Surfside in the middle of all this crazy Corona stuff. Now, the question is, what's it going to cash flow when it's debt free? About $14,000 a month. So here's the lesson here. Here's the take home for you guys. I know everybody wants to do really big apartment complexes and huge deals and commercial this and buildings and all that. We're actually in our office building that we bought in the middle of Corona. And everybody told us not to do it. It's one of the best decisions we've made. I get it. Everybody wants to be this big, bad real estate investor. But there are some cases in which you can buy a small apartment complex or a single family house or 2 and meet your financial goals. There's no reason to complicate your life. You can just make it as easy as possible. So that's our Texas Real Estate Investment Center. We built that in the middle of the coronavirus. Everybody told us we were crazy, but that's us here in Houston, Texas. Mr. Texas Real Estate is what we do, passive investing. We do syndications. We did 3 syndications in the middle of Corona, and we opened and closed our American Recovery Fund. We're actually liquidating that fund now, and we just opened a new fund. And then we run a mastermind group. And what do we do in the mastermind? We help people buy properties like you saw there. So if you guys are interested in doing any business with us, you can text active or passive to that number, 281-401-9008. But that's all I got. Haley, you got any questions up there? I can't, I'm not paying attention to the chat and everything else.
No worries. So we don't have any questions, and that's okay because we didn't really build up too much time in this presentation for Q&A, but guys, reach out to Jason. He's got a lot of great resources for you. Y'all host quite a few events in your office as well. I know some of them are invitation only. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to reach out to him, and be sure to remember at the end of this, we do have voting for your favorite case studies so we can see which speaker was our favorite tonight. But Jason, thank you so much for joining us, not just tonight, but for our other 3 grand opening events / online virtual case studies events. And I'm sure we'll see you again at one of our other webinars, probably in the near future.
We will. Appreciate the invite. We'll see you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. All right, guys, coming up next, we have Tom Berry from Houston, Texas. And give me one moment. I'll have to allow Tom, to share his camera again. I hid both of y'all's videos, so it makes me approve it again once you're ready to share it. But Tom, you have about 10 minutes. I'll let you go ahead and take it away from here. You've got a great case study for us here tonight, and you'll also have a nice little distinguished sponsor presentation here at the end of the night. So go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Haley. So my case study tonight is something really simple that somebody could do during times of chaos, right? Because that was the whole point, is what can you do to create cash flow during chaos? So I want to set the stage for you, and I'm going to do a screen share here. And I want to set the stage for you as we get started. Let's talk about direct private lending. You know, a lot of people at Quest will take their IRA or their other structured funds, and they will lend it directly to a real estate investor. And there are a lot of reasons that you would want to do that. Most generally, when you do a direct private lending deal, you're looking at a shorter duration investment, something that might be, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe even up to a year on a heavier rehab project. And a lot of people, that appeals to them, having that shorter duration for their investment. The other thing, obviously, is the higher average returns. Most generally, a real estate investor is going to pay higher than a typical rate of return to get that private money so they can go out and do their investment project. I know because I borrowed over $18 million, and a lot of that from Quest Trust clients back in the day when I was actively going out and buying houses and apartment complexes and flipping those things or fixing them up to rent. The other thing that people like about direct lending is the backing of real assets, right? A lot of times people will say, I like the lending simply because I've got something, a brick and mortar, something tangible backing my investment. So, and all of those things are good. And then, of course, last but not least, it's not tied to the stock market, right? You direct lend to a real estate investor. It really doesn't matter what the stock market does. It's not really going to affect that loan, and most likely it's not going to affect that investor that you've lent to either. Now, private lending also does not come without a few pitfalls. So let's talk about some of those. If you are direct private lending, you've got to do your due diligence. We all hear that over and over, right? In the lending world, we call that underwriting a loan. So what does underwriting or due diligence look like? Basically, you've got 3 areas of due diligence or underwriting. You've got to underwrite the property, right? You've got to make sure that at the end of the day, this property is going to be worth enough to cover that loan and a little bit of profit for the investor. You've also got to vet the borrower. And I didn't put these in any particular order. I think all 3 of them are equally important. That borrower has to be somebody of good morals and good values, and somebody that has the capability, should something go sideways in their project, to be able to financially handle that. And then, of course, the 3rd area of due diligence is the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork involved in lending, and these are all things that you need to be able to understand, whether it's looking at a insurance deck page and knowing the proper wording on that, or whether it's reading a title policy or a title commitment, or a note or a deed of trust or an assignment of rents, all of this paperwork, this legal stuff that you've got to actually have pretty tight if you're going to do a direct lending deal. Also, you also have to do the servicing of the loan. And what does that look like? Well, you got to make sure that the taxes are paid, property taxes, that is. You got to make sure that insurance is kept up and that your borrower doesn't let the insurance lapse. Lord knows it happens. And then, of course, there's the accounting of the payments as they come in, and hopefully they come in regularly. You also have in direct private lending a chance of foreclosure, and that is sometimes a turnoff. And then in that case, you would have to go through the rehab of the property or just dispose of the property the way it is. And many times, if you dispose of it as is, there could be some loss of principal, particularly if you have lent to a borrower and you've given them the rehab funds before the rehab was complete. And that's just typically a no-no, but we do see it happen a lot of times. When we look at direct private lending, I think everybody could agree that it's not really a passive activity because it definitely requires some work on the investor's part. So in my opinion, the direct private lending route is going to be more of a semi-passive investment that has the potential to become active should that loan go sideways. Now, I've set a stage for you, and I want to show you a case study of an alternative way to lend your IRA money. And this is an actual case study from Investor Loan Source, our lending company. So Fred, the investor, comes to Investor Loan Source and applies for a loan to buy, fix, and flip a house. Now, this house had an after repair value of $175,000. And we went through all the due diligence on Fred, the property, the paperwork. We made sure everything was tight. We thought we had every T crossed, every I dotted, and we agreed to lend him $122,500. That's 70% of the after repair value. And we did not give him the repair money up front. We made sure that he was on a draw system and that we verified that the repairs were done before we actually reimbursed him for that. Now, once we got all of that done, we've got a note. We've got a note between Investor Loan Source and Fred, the investor. Now, we meet Mary. She is a Quest Trust client, and she has an IRA. She's got some money sitting in her IRA, and she wants to make a loan to Investor Loan Source, our company. So we agreed to take a loan from her for $122,500. Now, notice that's the face amount of the note we wrote Fred. And then what we did is we borrowed the money from Mary's IRA at 9% interest, and we agreed to pay her an interest-only payment of $918.75 per month. And that money gets paid to Mary regardless of whether Fred pays us or not, because that has nothing to do with Mary and her IRA. So we make the payments to Mary regardless if Fred pays us or not. So for the first 6 months, everything went smooth. Fred made his payments to us with no problem. We paid Mary. And then in month 7, Fred fails to pay Investor Loan Source. Now, we, of course, continued to pay her. And then in month 8, rather than paying Mary her normal payment, we just paid the loan off because we've got a problem with Fred, right? So we gave her her whole principal back, $122 and change, $122.5, plus any accrued interest. There was actually a half a month of interest there. We paid her for every day we had that loan with her. And then we started the legal action against Fred. Now, the good news for Fred is after we started the legal action, we actually got him back on track and pointed him in the right direction to some resources that helped him to finish that project. We didn't actually have to foreclose in this case, but we didn't know whether we would have to go that far or not. So we wanted to get Mary out of that loan. And what we did is we just offered her another loan in its place. So Mary, in summary, received 7.5 months of interest at 9% interest, which is $6,890. And she didn't have to worry about any of the due diligence, any of the collections or the possibility of foreclosure. And it was a real possibility in this particular case. So I want to stress, there are many, many great lending stories out there where things go right, but there are also a few that go wrong. And, we've written well over 1,200 loans. We've written almost $333 million in loans. By the end of this year, it will be over $333 million in loans. And even we get it wrong sometimes. There is no way to do due diligence to the level that gets you a 100% success rate in a loan. And we do this day in and day out with 30 some employees, and we're pretty good at it. We have less than a 1% failure rate on our lending, but Fred happened to be one of those 1%ers in this particular case. So if you have any other questions, my information is at the bottom. Tom@ils.cash is my personal email address. Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in this type of a deal. We also have 2 private equity funds, a growth fund and an income fund. Those are available only to accredited investors, but we'd be happy to talk to you about that if you shoot me an email. And with that, Haley, I'll let you take it back.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. And that was fantastic. That was literally exactly 10 minutes. So good job. Kudos to you. And if you could go ahead and stop sharing your screen. Tom, that was a great case study. I love the idea of being 100% truly passive with an IRA. It's kind of a lot of what I'm currently using my IRA for as well. So Tom, thanks for joining us tonight. You will be back on here in just a few minutes for your distinguished sponsor intro as well. And last but not least, our last case study of tonight is the one and only Eddie Speed from NoteSchool from Dallas, Texas. Eddie, it's great to have you here. This is actually the first time we've heard from you in all 3 of our grand opening events, which are now case study webinars. So the floor is yours for about the next 10 minutes. Take your full 10 minutes and go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you, Haley. I am so glad to be with you. And we will we'll look at a different kind of note. So I come from a different side of the business, and I have some different perspectives on different things. I have been in the note space since 1980, lived through a lot of real estate cycles. And so this note tonight is about a note that is in default. How many notes are in default? Well, that's an interesting question. There's about 8 million loans that are not paying, right? So yes, we have definitely a housing boom, but we really have a mortgage crisis on the other side. And that's a very interesting scenario. About 35% of people that could get a mortgage before the virus can't get one today. So the mortgage industry is reacting differently to the market than necessarily just traditional real estate. So this gentleman lives in Indiana. He is a NoteSchool student, Jay Redding, and he bought this loan. It was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, just to give you a sense, we have a client that is a hedge fund. They just closed on $29 million worth of loans like this. And they list them on our members on our site, Notes Direct, our trade platform. So this isn't a one-of-a-kind note. It's not like this story exists and there's no other note. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet. Indiana has recovered in the market, not as well as Houston or Dallas, but this property is worth about $45,000. So this was the property, and he bought a note that was in default. A non-performing loan, NPL. He bought this note, and the balance on the note, the unpaid principal balance, was $38,751. The property is worth $145. The interest rate on the note was 11%. So it had an interest rate on the note of 11%. There were about 20 years remaining. Of course, it wasn't paying, so that really doesn't matter. And the monthly payment was $390. But once again, did it matter? No, because the truth of the matter is they weren't paying. So Jay bought this note for $53,212. Now, if you're kind of seasoned, you're like, whoa, Eddie, he bought this note and the price he paid on the note was more than the balance of the note. How can that be? Why would somebody do something so crazy? So this was the unpaid balance of the note. Now, he bought this note in September of September 30th of 2020. And we are seeing kind of an avalanche of these notes today. These loans were delinquent before the virus started. There is a lot of these notes. It's said that literally there's about 5 million notes that were delinquent before the virus. In fact, Black Knight did a report on this. And these are loans that are headed straight for foreclosure. They're no longer under any government protection whatsoever or any municipality protection. So these things are headed down the pike. And you're wondering, well, what is because you see the legal balance of the note is way more money. That's why he was willing to pay $53,000. So the principal of the note was one thing, but the legal balance was another. So this had a lot of accrued interest. It had taxes, insurance, lawn care, sheriff's fees, all of these fees. I'll guarantee you my pal Tom knows exactly what I'm talking about. But see, when he bought that note, he inherited the right to collect those amounts of money. So here's kind of the story now. We have a house that is worth $145. We have a loan balance of, let's see, what was that? 35. A legal balance of $85,476. And what did he pay? He bought the note and he invested this amount. So that was his investment in the note, which was $53,212. Well, what's his upside? His upside is this amount of money right here. Now, what's the odds that he's going to end up owning the property at foreclosure? Well, Tom Berry and I would say there's 100% no chance. Some investor would come along and buy this loan and bid more than what you instructed the attorney to collect, all that you're legally entitled to collect. This is called an equitable defaulted loan. We estimate about 65 or 70% of every defaulted loan, millions of them, that this is where they're at. So what did he make? Well, he made a pretty good profit on this deal. In fact, he made $24,500 on a $53,000 investment. And by the way, he got this went to foreclosure. Let me make sure I get the date right. This went to foreclosure in July of 2021. Now, once again, he did not end up with the property. He got paid off. I told Nathan Long the other night, I said, this era of non-performing notes is going to be very different than any other era I've seen. Excuse me. We've never seen an avalanche of non-performing notes in a housing boom. So what we're going to see, excuse me, is we're going to see notes traded at a discount of the legal balance. How many? Well, I have a friend that just closed on $29 million worth, and he's listing some of those notes on a one-off basis on our trade site. The math on those loans will look fairly similar to this. Now, this is a smaller loan balance. His average loan on there, I believe, is about $140,000. Average cost on the loan's about $80,000. Average real estate value on those assets is $250,000. We've never seen a market quite like this before, because every time I've been in the non-performing note business in the past, it was a declining market. It was a dropping knife market. Real estate was going down. Now we have this unique situation where we have these loans that have been delinquent literally average of 2 years before the virus, now all the time during the virus, and now they're all getting cycled and heading to foreclosure. So it takes a lot less effort to go close a loan and buy a defaulted loan like this, because you don't have the blighted property issue. You don't have to go deal with the property after it's foreclosed on. You don't have to go secure it. You don't have to go rehab it. You don't have to go do those things. And it really is the best scenario that I've seen, particularly for people that have an interest in a more passive non-performing note business. Generally, the non-performing note business is pretty dang active, but this cycle has a very different dimension to it. Particularly will be particularly lucrative for self-directed retirement accounts. In the last cycle, after 2008, NoteSchool grew the most it had ever grown. And Nathan would certainly tell you, in our history with sending people to Quest to be an IRA administration company, that we saw an incredible amount of people that went. Am I right, Nathan?
Oh man, yeah.
So
It's like
this
what-
is that.
It's what
This is that.
kickstarted us. Like we didn't even know what happened then.
This scenario that I'm describing here tonight is exactly what we're seeing, an avalanche of these assets coming down the pike. So pretty cool. This is a non-performing note where the customer, even with an excessively higher legal balance, accrued interest, back paid interest in taxes and insurance and legal, a lot of things that the prior mortgage company had to pay for, he inherited the right to collect that back. This is going to be pretty common.
Like, because I got to think that there's some people that don't see this. They're like, well, why would the bank do that? Why would the bank just dump that on there? Because it doesn't make any sense. And you're right, it doesn't make any sense. And that's the point that makes this so great.
Well, the real in-depth answer is that these lenders have accounting just like you do at Quest with the Texas Banking Commission, and they've written these loans down. And so they have charged off these loans, and the cycle is going to be more common than not that they sell the loan and can afford to sell the loan, because actually their cost basis remaining in the loan is way below $53,000. And this is just, we saw this in the last cycle. People ask all the time, why do people sell a note at a discount? In the institutional world, in the banking world, they sell loans at a discount, really because they've already taken the loss on their books. And usually when they're selling them, believe it or not, they're triggering a new profit, a gain, recovery. That's what they call it. So Haley, I don't want to take too much more of the time. I hope that became a fairly clear picture of understanding this new cycle of non-performing notes. So the guy that runs this hedge fund I just mentioned to you, his name Chaz Gwynn, they just bought a $29 million trade. You probably saw it in the press last week. All of those one-off notes are going to be on our trade platform. Not every loan they bought will be on there, but the ones that they sell to small investors. And he had just reviewed for his credit facility this Black Knight report that said there were over 5 million loans with an average delinquency before the virus started of 24 months. There is not a shortage of these loans. As my dad would have said, my dad was an old country boy, Haley. My dad would have said it's big as a wagon wheel. So very different perspective. And I'm not falling for the skies to fall, but I will say this: the housing market has about 1 million houses for sale, and we need 2 million. Okay. There's 8 million loans that aren't paying. There's some interesting math ahead. I'll see you in a minute.
Awesome, Eddie. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I always love to see all your numbers and figures. I know tonight's was very hand-drawn, but you always have great charts and visuals in your presentations. And guys, I will let you know that we are actually hosting our next big QuestCon event at the end of this year. And Eddie, I already know what you're going to be speaking about: non-performing notes in a housing boom. That is a very interesting topic. So y'all be sure to stick around. Eddie will get a few more minutes to let you guys know about his resources with NoteSchool. And give me just one moment because I am terrible at multitasking. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. So those were all of our case studies. Give me one moment. So this is part of one of the funnest parts of joining tonight's webinar is you actually get to vote for your favorite case study. Now, I don't have a prize for our winners. A lot of our, actually all of our speakers tonight are residents on our platforms. They come out, they give a lot of education and presentations, but do me a favor, whip out your phone, cast your vote. This QR code will take you to a Google form that I actually have pulled up on my other computer behind my laptop right now. And as you guys are doing that, I know Nathan had a few things he wanted to say about our speakers tonight. So Nathan, go ahead and share your message you had for us.
Well, first of all, don't vote for me. So, but secondly, I think that all of the speakers that came tonight performed phenomenal information, and I hope that you took something away from it. I would love to get these 3 speakers back as a panel, okay? Because there's so much infinite knowledge there. It's amazing. I've personally watched Jason Bible pull the rabbit out of the hat. All right. I've been with Tom Berry and ILS for years, since Quest was just beginning. I personally invested with them, and when I got all emotional, I told them about having to get the restricted capital. I had investments with them, and I was like, I can't actually have these investments anymore. You guys got to cash these out. And they immediately did. So they've always been with us. But Eddie Speed's one of the all-time greats, thinkers of the industry. He really helped Quincy and me, especially in the early days. And nobody understands the note market and what you can do with it. And like, man, and nobody's had that effect on the overall market. So I think to get these guys together on a panel or doing QuestCon, oh my God, it's going to be good. So sorry. I just had to throw that out.
Oh, you are more than welcome to chime in at any time, Nathan. And I love that idea as well, because you and I were actually texting during those case studies, and we're like, oh, we got to get these guys on a panel together. So y'all stay tuned. That will definitely be happening in the near future. And you have about 5 more seconds to scan this QR code here on this screen, because we are going to get into the distinguished sponsor presentations tonight. And I will let you guys know I have this Google form pulled up. It's really cool to see the pie chart adjusting as someone has definitely taken the lead. And you guys will find that out here at the end of our distinguished sponsor presentation. Introductions, whatever they are. All right, guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Tom Berry back. Tom, you've done so much for us here at Quest. You're not only a fantastic speaker for our events here, but you guys also provide a really nice service for a lot of investors, not just in Houston, but in different parts of the state and different parts of the country as well. So go ahead and take a few minutes, walk us through what you do at ILS and how you can help everyone out there.
All right, Haley, thank you very much. So we help investors with Quest a couple of different ways. First of all, like I'd mentioned in our presentation, a lot of Quest Trust clients will invest their money through Investor Loan Source through one of the various vehicles that we have available. I mentioned the private equity funds. We have 2 of those available to accredited investors by SEC definition. And then also just on one-offs, whether you're collateralizing a note like the case study, and there are various other options that are available. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to reach out. And I would ask you to just reach out to me directly, which is tom@ils.cash. And I can certainly point you in the right direction after talking to you a little bit to see what you really need. But in addition to that, we also help Quest Trust clients with loans. A lot of people want to be an active investor with their Quest Trust account, and it's kind of hard to get a loan with your IRA because it has to be a non-recourse loan, as we all know. And so for Quest Trust clients, and obviously we don't advertise this except at Quest, but for Quest Trust clients, we will allow a non-recourse loan. And what that looks like is you can pick any of our loans from a very wide variety of loans, whether it's fix and flip or rental loans or wrappable loans for the owner finance model. We have one-time closes. We have Airbnb loans. We have commercial loans. Whatever loan you need that we have, you qualify for, we're going to write you. We're going to write to your IRA rather, or your structured account at Quest with 5 basis points less in LTV. What that means is we would typically, for somebody that's going to sign a personal guarantee, let's say we would write them to a maximum of 70% a loan to value. If it's going to be a non-recourse to your IRA, we're going to limit that to 65%. We're not going to upcharge. We're not going to charge more in points. We're not going to charge more in interest. All we're going to do is lower your LTV by 5%. So we think that's a very fair way for us to mitigate that additional risk and still help the Quest Trust clients get their loans for their IRAs. So those are the ways that we can help. Thank you very much, Haley.
Tom, thank you. Thank you very much for introducing your non-recourse loan program. I know that was not easy for you to roll out. I know that you did that for me, and I appreciate it. And it works. Like nothing's better than buying a property, debt leveraged, using someone else's money and getting an appreciation and cash flow and doing it all tax-free in a Roth. That's like building a beautiful sandwich or something. Tom, thank you for all the years that you've been there with us.
Absolutely, Nathan. It's our pleasure. And yes, it does work very well. We've had several of your clients take advantage of it in the last few months.
It's like, I'm shocked that it hasn't skyrocketed because there's only a few lenders that will do it.
Right.
Right. And none of them are as easy to deal with in the Texas area or as you. Any of them. Just straight up, like not just saying that. Anyway, thank you again. I am going to put the poop to you and put you on a panel and put a little pressure on you soon.
Let's do it.
That was my exact reaction too. I was like, let's do it. We already got it going in the marketing group chat. So we'll be reaching out to you, Tom. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Tom, I know actually last week you were our winner for the favorite case study. And I can tell you based on the results tonight, you just barely are not tonight's winner. So you guys will find out in a minute. But Tom, you're one of tonight's runner-ups. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring our next distinguished sponsor, which is Troy Eckard with Eckard Enterprises, joining us from Dallas, Texas. So Troy, it's great to see you here tonight. Take the next 5 minutes to introduce yourself and what Eckard can do for everyone out there.
Yeah, well, thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. I know that many of us are super busy with our schedules. First, I want to give a big kudo to Quest and all their team. It seems like year after year and program after program and educational presentation after another, they continue to bring to the end user, the clients and the investors out there, a continuation of great information, education, and they go beyond the call of duty. And so without, trying to stroke their ego too much, the fact of the matter is I've been really, really proud and greatly appreciative of the association. Let me give you a quick summation of Eckard Enterprises. I started my career in 1985. I specialize in the oil and gas industry here in the United States. I've been involved in about 8 or 9 states across the country. I've been involved in over 1,000 oil and gas wells. We now are one of the largest mineral owner buyers in the state of Oklahoma and have been for the last 3 years. And when it all boils down to it, every investment, whether it be loans or debt or equity or turnkey houses or any type of investment you're involved in, the core fundamental underneath all of that is going to be something to do with energy. And the cost of energy does affect all investments. So our particular niche, which is direct alternative assets in the oil and gas sector, it's really a matter of how you can or cannot participate. And the truth is that it's a very, very risky business. Our company has been involved in all types, oil and gas, pipelines, mineral rights, which is our main focus today. And the key thing about this business is it's very much foreign to most investors. They really don't understand it. They don't know where to go to get information. They sure don't know how to get educated on it. And at the same time, it's a little bit tricky because it's not what I'd call your major staple investment. It's not a stock, a bond. It's not real estate, traditional real estate. It's very difficult. And so when we get an opportunity to come on board and be a speaker along with other prestigious guests like we have tonight, I want to just capsulize what we do very simply. Mineral rights are real estate. They simply happen to be under the ground. You're looking for natural resources that are proven, producing, and cash flowing. The mineral rights and the business that we're in is very simple. We believe it's one of the most passive investments you can be involved in. When I invest in a mineral right, I make a one-time acquisition. I buy from a seller the mineral rights that may be involved in a producing oil and gas well, which is what we only focus on. From the time I make an effective date, the day I close on those minerals, I now am a risk-free, cash-flowing net recipient of all the oil and gas sales that take place on those minerals. Whether it lasts 1 day or 50 years, I get every dollar value for every drop of oil and natural gas that's sold. Our company is focused in one of the most organically rich basins in the country, the Oklahoma Anadarko Basin. We now have been at it for 3 years, and as a result, we've created passive income in over 50 mineral portfolios for high net worth accredited investors. One of the things we want to remind you is that minerals are, because they are real estate, are 1031 exchangeable assets. They are a perfect timeline investment to go into your self-directed IRA, and specifically with somebody as professional as Quest, who has a very broad clientele who are sophisticated, they're knowledgeable, they're in control of the retirement funds, and they're becoming more and more aware of the tool and the advantage of using a mineral right inside of your self-directed IRA. One of the things that's very important is that because mineral rights are passive, they take zero risk when it comes to capital calls. There's zero holding cost. There's zero liability when it comes to drilling or exploration. You're simply a recipient of a royalty payment every single month. And so when you're trying to compound your growth inside of your self-directed IRA, what better way to do it than with an asset that generates cash every month? You get that compounding effect. You never get a surprise bill, expense, cost, zero management fees. It's a one-time acquisition. You can sell it anytime you want into the open marketplace, or you can hold it in perpetuity and pass it on to your heirs from estate to estate to estate. The one thing I can tell everyone is that we're in a very dynamic market today. The market is deciding between potential opportunities in real estate loans. We're talking about hard money loans. We're talking about multifamily. We're talking about residential real estate. We're talking about rents. We're talking about foreclosures, forbearance. It's a pretty dicey world out there. The one thing that most of you don't look at is oil and gas or mineral rights because you don't know about it. Eckard Enterprises is going to give you that opportunity. So as many times as you log into Quest or other really, really professional, sophisticated sources of information, we have an entire library of information that you can access under Eckard Enterprise on our website. We welcome you to come in, take a look at our videos, learn the education, understand that it's a great tool, and we're always available for questions and answers anytime you'd like. I'm Troy Eckard. I'm the CEO and manager of Eckard Enterprises. Nathan, thank you to Quest and all the team for allowing us to come on board, and we definitely look forward to helping any and all of your clients within Quest.
I'll take a minute and give a personal thank you to you. Troy. I thought I grew up on a South Texas ranch. We had mineral rights where people drilled oil. I knew all about that stuff, right?
Right.
Risky. Well, over the last year, like I've told at the beginning of the story, I had a lot of difficulties, and I had a lot of money coming in and things. And I'm like, well, I'm going to check her out. And anyway, Troy, thank you for helping me and my family. The
Yes, sir.
investments that you've done over the last year have been the best we've had.
Yes, sir.
Again, I haven't been very diligent with my investments, and just being able to have somebody that was trustworthy, and knew what they were doing and understood the market and was concerned about us and what we were trying to do in our family, as you were concerned about making money for yourself. And it was very apparent as I went through the process with you that I should have been doing this a long time ago. But anyway,
You
I
and me both,
appreciate
Nathan.
like, I've always been a real estate guy, so it's like it's so weird to like step into something else. But you made it really easy for me and very profitable, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm super excited to be affiliated. Haley, thank you guys for having us on. We're always available. And, some of your clients with Quest don't look to invest in mineral rights, but they own mineral rights. They just need information. They have oil and gas questions. We help hundreds of investors throughout the year who are involved. They've inherited things. They don't know what to do. I get great pleasure in helping explain it so that way investors can figure out what to do, even if they don't invest themselves, if they just have assets their family holds. Call us and ask us. We got a full acquisition team. We do it all the time. And it's our pleasure to make sure, look, we're all in the same boat. We're all investors. We got to stand back to back, make sure we're taking care of each other and helping each other. And that's what the investment community that you created in Quest is all about.
Awesome, Troy. Well, thank you so much for those kind words. It's always great to see you here. I'm sure we'll see you at one of your events here later, coming up in a few weeks.
Well, have a nice night.
Awesome. Thanks, Troy. See you later.
Righty.
And guys, without further ado, our last distinguished sponsor of the night is Eddie Speed with NoteSchool. I know you guys just heard from him, and I can tell that you all very much enjoyed his presentation because he was actually tonight's winner of the favorite case studies. So the voting was very close, but Eddie, you definitely won. You had the majority of the votes here tonight. So go ahead and come back on, take a few minutes, tell us more about NoteSchool and the types of services that you guys provide.
Well, thank you for that. That's quite a surprise. I didn't even know it was a competition until I really paid a little closer attention to the email. And so it's all of your presenters tonight are friends of mine. And so I was honored to be part of that, and thank you. So I started in the note business in 1980. I was 20 years old. My father-in-law got me started in the business, and he taught me some things. 1980 was a very interesting time. Interest rates were literally 21%. And so he taught me some things in that I would have never known had I not been he had not been my mentor. I didn't need to know everything to get started, but I needed to know something to get started. And I needed to have an action step. So I did get started with him. Many of you know my wife, Martha. And so she did grow up in the business. And so we married in 1982. We moved to Dallas-Fort Worth. And a lot of the things that I learned from my father-in-law, became imprinted in my brain about growing wealth. I've been around a lot of very active real estate investors, but there's nothing more powerful than the concept of understanding if you make the money you need today and you're in a position to grow wealth for tomorrow, that wealth will be good to you. So I started in the note space. We started buying seller finance notes around 1986, Texas in the Southwest. If you were living here and you're of my age back then, you remember it blew up, and then non-performing notes came along. And all of that cycle, around 1987, I met a guy named Ken D'Angelo. Haley, your dad knew Ken D'Angelo very well. He was the founder of Homevestors. And I was their note guy. I was their creative finance guy. I taught their franchisees how to go create seller finance transactions and creative financing structures and utilize it. So all of this cycle, all of this experience, and about 20 years ago, I said it would be really easy for me to figure out how to do business with somebody if I taught them what had taken me 20 years to learn. So my commitment in one of the very first classes that I did was with Quincy Long, Nathan, your brother, is I started teaching people what I had learned. You remember that, Nathan?
Oh man, it's funny to think about those days, but yeah, that's how we all got started. Few people together in a room thinking about something good.
So we are very known in a number of areas using retirement accounts and leveraging strategies that are very unique to retirement accounts related to notes and properties. And of course, as you saw tonight, non-performing notes. My staff all last year was pushing me as we were having virtual classes. Eddie, we want to do more with non-performing notes. And I'm like, we're not going to teach non-performing notes as an absolute strategy until I see that the water break over the edge and know these loans are coming. And I've allowed my staff to start doing that in about February or March of this year. Now, we believe there's an avalanche of those loans coming. So whether you're interested in something that is way more passive, like just buying a note and collecting a payment, or whether you're interested in buying real estate and using creative terms, we're pretty good at that, or whether you're interested in non-performing notes or any of the strategies we teach, I wanted to give you kind of a platform and a process you could get started. I'm going to give you, and I put it here in the chat tonight. It's NoteSchool.com/quest. Now, there's a lot of options you're going to have with that. We've got good information about a good, solid, super inexpensive one-day class. Now, we're going to talk about kind of the circle of asset classes related to notes. And usually people that come to it realize that they found out an interest in something that they didn't know quite really before they might have even had an interest in it. Or you can call us, certainly able to email us. I want to make sure that what we leave you here tonight with is an ability to go execute. So once again, it's in the chat. It's just noteschool.com/quest. And, Nathan, my favorite movie is an old cowboy movie called Lonesome Dove. And one of the last lines in that movie is these two old Texas Rangers were partners and one of them was dying. And on his deathbed, he looked at his other partner and he said, Robert Duvall was playing this part. He looked at his partner, who was Tommy Lee Jones, was the actor. And he says, it's been quite a party. And so what I would say to you, Nathan, it's been quite a party.
Yeah, it has been. We've enjoyed, I had the opportunity to have a very long-term meeting with them, a review with an employee, Beatrice, who'd been with us for a long time. I'm like, what would you change if you could go back? And she says, absolutely nothing. Because if I knew now what I knew then, I would never be able to do what I did.
Yeah, we were having some fun with Haley before we started tonight. I've known Haley's dad a long time and good guy. And we just, some of our mistakes become our journey. But I did build NoteSchool with the intent and the desire to kind of eliminate some mistakes. And sometimes when you start out with knowledge, it's way better than experience. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask a question that seemed to be like bubbling around the edges as you were talking, just for a second, which is why I think this would be a great panel. As I hear Jason saying, "Oh, it's going to go up for 2028 forever," and you're going, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid, kids." Like,
I mean, it's, we've never seen a market like this. So I don't know, I mean, I can tell you, I believe I'm solid in the data numbers. I think I know what the market is telling us. But at the same time, I would be 100% telling you that while it should have gone down, real estate should have gone down in value through the virus. That clearly is not what happened. I think that there's a day of reckoning on these non-performing notes, and they are what they are, and so we'll have to see what happens. But I'm not trying to pick a fight with Jason. He's a smart young man, and he's a really smart young man. I've got a different perspective because most real estate investors, and I'm in a number of high volume real estate masterminds, they're not looking at the mortgage data. They're looking at real estate and they're not looking at mortgage data. So it's a different perspective. And, I would say this: Quest does a great job of circling people together that have high competency in their sphere of knowledge. And I'm always grateful to be a part of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Haley, for doing a good job.
Thank you. I try to keep you guys all tame on here. But anyways, Eddie, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And thank you for everything that NoteSchool has done for us. And if you guys are interested in investing in notes in really any capacity, NoteSchool is a fantastic resource for you guys. And without further ado, let's go ahead and kind of wrap it up for tonight. I do have a special promotion for you guys. As you heard Nathan talking about earlier, our team has some really high goals to hit for this quarter. And I actually do have Manny Lewis, one of our IRA specialists, here online with us tonight. Manny, go ahead and put your Calendly link in the Zoom chat right now. Guys, I know we still have a lot of people online. I'm really excited for how many people actually stayed throughout the entire presentation to watch tonight's case studies. If you are interested in either opening an account or scheduling a consultation with Quest, let's do 5 people. The first 5 people to schedule a consultation through Manny's Calendly link here. It's super easy. It takes like 30 seconds. You can choose a time for us to reach out. We'll give you a call. We'll send you an email, and we'll kind of prepare you with all of the information that you need to get started with self-directing your own retirement account. Guys, this is a fantastic opportunity. Do not sleep on the potential to build all of this wealth completely tax deferred or tax free in a self-directed IRA. So not only do we have the rewards for deposits promotion going on right now, but if you're one of the first 5 people to go ahead and schedule a consultation through Manny's link that he put in the chat for you guys, we'll go ahead and waive your account opening fee. So make sure to take advantage of that. And then just one last reminder for you guys: if you want to network with other investors, be sure to join us tomorrow night for the Quest Virtual Networking Happy Hour. We host this event on the first and third Wednesday of every single month. And you actually get to see everyone else that's on the meeting. Everyone gets a chance to share their cameras, and everyone gets a chance to introduce themselves to the group. At every virtual networking happy hour, we have anywhere from about 35 to 50 investors from across the US that join us at every single meeting. So it's a great way to meet other investors as well as kind of network and chat. And especially if you guys are new in the business or you're looking to expand into other fields of real estate investing, the open conversations that we have at the end of every virtual happy hour have really been nice. They've been high level, and they've been really helpful for a lot of people that are looking to expand their real estate knowledge and have some of those open conversations with other investors. So I think that's all we have for you guys tonight. Make sure to reach out to us. I did just get a message from Manny. We do just have 1 or 2 spots available left for waiving those account opening fees there. And that's all we got. I hope you all have a great night. We will be bringing back for real this time are in-person events here in September. So if you guys are in Houston, Austin, or Dallas, make sure to check out our events that we have on our website. You can find all of that information at questtrust.com. We will be hosting some in-person mixers in our Texas offices. We will be limiting the capacity at these events. So if you're interested, make sure to get your RSVP before they fill up. And that's all we've got. I hope you guys all have a fantastic evening and a great rest of your week. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. We are always happy to help. Y'all have a great night.